Five. Good evening. I'd like to call the Alton Board of Selectmen meeting to order March 15, 2021 at 6 o'clock. Until further notice, to keep our members and staff safe and to comply with RSA 91-A, the state of emergency and governor's orders, restrictions on public gatherings, the town of Alton has moved from in-person meetings to remote audio participation meetings. To remotely attend the meeting, audio only, visit our website, www.alton.nh.gov, for telephone access, remote access instruction listed under news and announcements on the home page, or telephone the Selectmen's office 603-875-2113 or 603-875-0229 between 8 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. for the dial-in code and meeting ID for each Selectmen's meeting. Please all stand for Pledge of Allegiance. A moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Gentlemen, if I could have a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as read.
Second.
Motion is made by Mr. McDonald to approve the agenda as submitted, March 15, 2021, seconded by Paul Rochelle. Discussion.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Maybe you should wait to reorganize till the new guy's here?
Yep, we are doing that, yes.
Okay.
Anything else? I'll poll the board. Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Whitman?
Yes.
Mr. Rochelle?
Yes.
Mr. Holt?
Yes.
Mr. Wentworth, yes. Vote the affirmative. This time, I ask the chief to come up and join us for emergency management update.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
All right. So things with emergency management are continuing as usual. We're continuing to have our weekly Zoom meetings as a team to discuss the situation as it's presented each week. As you've probably been following as well as we have, the numbers are improving. We're doing very well on the state level and also on the local level. Currently, right now, we have about 2,100 cases in the state, active cases. Alton has 7 right now. So in the scheme of things, we're doing very well, and we're continuing to improve slowly. One of the things I really wanted to mention tonight, just for you folks, but also the community, we are seeing improvements, and things are changing. They're changing slowly. Things, are going from a mandate to a recommendation, stuff of that nature. But one of the things I wanted to get out there is we are taking a slower approach to opening everything back up right now because of not knowing where we're going to fall once the vaccines are all distributed. All right. People are having an easier time making appointments and scheduling it up, but things are out of ways right now. And just to put that in perspective, I pulled the vaccination list from the state today, and right now, only 21% of the population in the state of New Hampshire has been vaccinated. 21% has 1 dose. Only 10% have 2 doses. So, and I know that Johnson & Johnson came out with a 1-dose vaccine, but just putting that into perspective, there's so much talk on TV and the news right now about vaccines. We're still a long way from the state being vaccinated and seeing how that's going to improve our situation.
We're going into a tourist season, so.
Right. Mm-hmm. So that's not to take away from the fact that we do recognize that we're trending in a good direction. Our numbers are going well.
Definitely getting better.
We are moving in that direction. One of the other positions that we've taken as a group too is that you will see things changing rapidly at the state level. We let that settle down a little bit before we go rapidly running out and changing local policy. The reason we do that is because there's been a little bit of back and forth because one policy will change and then a few different experts will have different opinions. We're trying to let that settle so that we don't discourage our own employees or our own workforce. If we try to jump on top of a change, I'll give you a good example is I actually got some communications from people locally. Once the governor's report went out and they changed the travel advisory from a mandate to a recommendation, immediately I had questions as to whether or not we were going to change our policy within that day. And obviously we hadn't had a chance to talk as a group to see where that goes, but we're not in any rush to run out and change those policies that minute because we want things to settle down. And one of the things with confusion, if we keep changing policies rapidly locally, one, it promotes confusion, and two, it discourages the workforce. So we're trying to stay consistent, and we're also not trying to make any policies that would force us to take steps backwards. Because steps backwards is definitely going to deter the workforce as well. And we don't want to hurt morale either. So we're trying to balance that delicately, and I think we're doing a pretty good job of doing that right now. And we will continue to look toward the months to come, the warmer months, some of the events that we typically host or put on locally, to see what we can do about opening up some more programs and allowing people, especially the opportunity to get outside, get out of the house, and encourage a little more community spirit, let's say. But at this point right now, that's really what's on the horizon for us. I just ordered some more posted signs for our outdoor recreational areas, those ones that didn't quite make it through the season or have blown away. We did another batch order for that. As soon as those come in, I'll get those to Kelly and her people, so that we can get ready for our, opening up our recreational areas and such as we move forward. So, what can I answer for questions for you folks, or comments, or anything like that?
We're still trending down, all right?
What's that?
Alton?
Yes. Yes.
Seems like we kind of go down, then we spike up, then we go back down.
We do.
We're finally back under 10 again, but we gotten up there for a while, and then went back down to 8 and back up to 10.
Right.
So, what do you?
It's going pretty good.
Yeah.
What does the government or the state government feel in the state that their percentage is going to be that are going to take the shot and that aren't going to take the shot?
Honestly, I don't know. I haven't heard any real hard percentages.
No, they're trying for 75 to 80%.
Right, right. Last I heard, they were up over 50. And again, I don't know. I didn't see that as a hard statistical fact. It was more conversation through local government channels and state government channels that they were saying that they were up closer to 62, 63%. Again, I don't know where they're basing that off of or how hard that number is, but I know that that's roughly where they're talking we're at. For people that have, and that's just people that have committed through one way or another, or made an appointment, things of that nature. That is changing. Some people for the better, some people for the worse. Other people are being convinced to run out and get vaccinated or to make the appointment, and other people sometimes have heard stories about other people that have had effects from the shot, and it's deterring them from taking it. So.
It affects them all, the shots.
Right, sure.
My next question is, do you feel that the state and yourselves are waiting to see what happens after spring break? Because you've had all these people now that they've lifted some of these restrictions, even though they're recommending don't travel. And everyone's headed down south where it's warmer weather, plus one, you got spring break right now. That was on the news this afternoon with Florida. Miami mayor saying it's not a mask mandate. There's a mask mandate, but we can't find it. Groups are getting together, and a lot of them are worried about this travel where it's been lifted and everyone's headed south to warmer temperatures for a week to 2 weeks. Do you think they're waiting for that to see what happens in 2 to 3 weeks?
Yes, I think, and I definitely know that we are going to wait out a little bit because of the simple fact. They're also talking about the mutant strains that have been popping up.
Right.
They're not sure how that's going to affect whether the vaccine is actually going to have any effect over that. So now they're opening up the I don't want to say they're opening it up. They're still recommending travel restrictions, but when it goes from a mandate to a recommendation, a lot of people will take that as open season. And we're not sure what that's going to cause for a reaction, even within people that are vaccinated. And then the large groups, if you'll remember, Florida was a key point with their club scene and things of that nature, which spring break is going to be notorious for that. So that's definitely something that we are going to need to watch. be cautious of it.
Yeah, we also have the snowbirds who are gonna be coming home too pretty soon.
Correct.
Summer water gonna be turned on as normal this year?
That would be my understanding, yes. We haven't, I will say that I do have to talk to the group about that to make a collective decision. We haven't sat down and made a definitive decision on that. But I think at this point, we're probably leaning in that direction.
On April 1st, are we gonna be opening up the public restrooms 7 days a week? Because you have fly fishing season, first day of fishing season's open. The only reason I'm asking that now is just so we don't get to that date and we have to come in the meeting the 1st of April, and say, hey, can we get the bathrooms back open or something like that?
Right. So we haven't, I will make a note to talk about that on Wednesday's meeting. I know that we have talked about it throughout, obviously the restrooms have been a conversation since the onset of the pandemic and resources and things of that nature. So that's probably something we'll pull some feedback from Kelly and her people too as well. But I will tell you that the group consensus before was that we would rather open the restrooms than to go back to porta johns again.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The east side could wait until the beaches are gonna be used, as long as we have the west sides open, because those have heat.
As it gets closer to April, definitely.
And that would probably be a good discussion point as far as compromising on resources, is maybe doing a staggered opening as to opening the west side up first, earlier in the season, and then follow with the east side later on.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the, only other thing would be possibly talking to Parks and Rec about opening up all the trash bins now, getting them open. We only have a few down there that are open now, but I would, as soon as the weather does break, we're gonna have a lot more visitors, because even Mount Major, this time of year, last weekend, the parking lot was packed.
Yeah.
So as soon as the weather gets warmer, we're gonna have more and more hikers again.
Yes. And one of the other things I will start working on too, in conjunction with that, is now that we've been through town vote and the warrant articles with Pat, is working on the crosswalk, permanent signage. We're close to getting that first one up. What delayed us was the weather, the snowbanks. DOT wanted us to go back and shoot some more line of sight parameters, a triangulation line of sight on the left-hand side if you're heading towards Guilford. And the snowbankings where the snow was pushed up there and they couldn't get their machine set down the way that they needed to, the surveyor for the site design. So he's going back out. We had just talked last week on that, and then the vote went through. So I'm going to start working on all those other locations as well.
Do you have the one that was donated?
Yes. And the equipment is all in, it's at our Sallyport down at the police stations.
Okay.
Yep. So, and I did finally get the signed, maintenance agreement for the driver notification sign. That's the speed sign.
Yep.
Flashes.
Yep.
So I know you folks had signed it. We sent it off. I was waiting for that completely signed copy from the director of DOT, which I did get back. So we'll be able to put that into, they have to mount a pole and a base unit into the concrete where that speed limit sign is on the bay. So again, we were kind of waiting for the weather to break a little bit for that.
Anything else, gentlemen?
Thanks.
Chief, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Absolutely. I'll stick around for the video conversation if there's any questions.
That's probably good.
Thank you.
Reorganization of the board will be postponed until after the recount, and the recount will be on Wednesday, March 24th, correct?
Yes,
At 6 p.m.
yeah.
Announcements: the town road weight limits are in effect until further notice. Contact the highway department with any questions. 2021 dog licenses are available at town clerk's office and are due no later than April 30th. The rabies clinic is scheduled for dogs and cats at the Alton Central Fire Station, 65 Frank C. Gilman Highway, Route 140, on April 10th from 2:30 p.m. to 4 p.m. The cost per shot is $20, and microchipping is $40. Dog licenses are available at the clinic for Alton residents only. Submission of public questions and concerns. I have none here. At this point, we have a public hearing at 6:20. We have 5 minutes to that, gentlemen. So I'm going to move over to new business number 1 for public auction discussion. I don't feel that should take too long.
Okay. You have no paperwork on that?
Um,
This time, she feels will take longer than 5 minutes. Yeah, 5 minutes until the public hearing.
I could do a couple of TA.
Sure, why don't you do a couple of town administrator reports?
Okay. In answer to your request for a legal opinion on the default budget that will be ready for the next meeting, would you be able to meet here at 5:30 for a non-meeting with legal counsel concerning that?
I can.
Yes.
5:30?
Yep,
Good.
When's this?
Next Monday?
Next Monday.
Oh, Monday.
yep. At 5:30?
Only I probably won't be here.
Well, you will, because
Oh, yeah.
we're a week from Wednesday.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, then I'll be here.
For some reason, we weren't doing the recount this week. We have to do it next week.
Wednesday.
Next
Yeah,
Wednesday.
because the deadline is, I thought it was, this past Friday, it's actually Tuesday, next
Yeah,
week on
It's
Tuesday.
Tuesday, so recount will be a week from Wednesday.
Oh, okay, okay.
So when will the results be?
That night?
At night?
That night.
Yep, and they will be, by Zoom, they'll be live Zoom. The recount will be in this room,
Yeah.
yep,
Oh.
and it'll be, because the building is closed because of the state of emergency.
Oh, yeah.
So, but we're gonna broadcast it on Zoom, like all the other meetings.
Good, good.
So this meeting we're talking about is a week from tonight,
Yes, sir.
5:30.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Yeah. The next thing is broadband. I put a document at your seat, which is titled TA Report in the upper right-hand corner. Those are some notes I took from a phone discussion I had with Attorney Miller. And if you would like her to attend a meeting to talk to you about this whole, franchise work, she's willing to do that.
We had good luck with her last time.
Yeah, she's very good.
So the talk is whether we join stay with the consortium. The last contract the town was with a part of the consortium. That was the email we got from Liz.
We were also looking for cost.
What?
We were also looking for some idea of cost.
So in 2011 through 2014, that franchise was about 3,900 roughly. And then in 2016 into 17 was when Atlantic Broadband purchased MetroCast. So that contract had to be
Redone.
done. And we were alone in that one. And that was 6,000 something or other, 6,900 roughly. And she doesn't have an exact, it's just going to depend on how many.
Towns.
Right, and not every town has the same number of franchises, so there's a little bit different, but she explains the process in this.
Yes. Looks like there was also an issue with planning board and ZBA issue and all.
Yes, so another attorney in her law firm has a client that has something going on in front of the planning board or the zoning board. So you can't really have two attorneys. They would be, so if you all chose to join this consortium in Guilford, she would have you approve and sign a waiver. It's called a waiver of interest. You may be familiar with that. This past winter, you
Keeps everything honest.
were, right, transparent and everything, so that she can still represent Alton, and the other attorney can still represent the private client that has something before the town.
Okay, gentlemen, I'm going to stop at this point here and go into a public hearing on High Point Road acceptance. Submitted by Mr. Jones. Remember, a couple of weeks ago, we had Mr. Jones on Zoom. We went over all the questions. Attorney has signed off on all documents, said everything is ready.
Everybody signed
At
up.
this time, we need to hold a public hearing on it for acceptance. So at this time, I'd like to recess as the Board of Selectmen's meeting and open up the public hearing on High Point Road acceptance. If I could have a second to that, that'd be.
Second.
Let's make Reverend Wentworth to recess as the Board of Selectmen and open up the public hearing on High Point Road acceptance, seconded by Mr. Whitman. Any discussion? Poll the board. Mr. McDonald? Yes. Mr. Whitman?
Yes.
Mr. Rochelle?
Yes.
Mr. Holt?
Yes.
Yes. Hey, Josh, we are now in public comment and for High Point Road acceptance. The selectmen have discussed this earlier. We'll take public comment at this point if there is anybody. Okay. Are they online?
Oh, he's for the auctioneer thing, so that'll be after the public hearing.
Good evening, Brad. Are you there? Good evening, Brad. How are you?
Good evening. Yep. How you doing? This is Brad. Did you want me to kind of go through a little of the kind of how the road was constructed and a little history, or what are your thoughts?
That's up to you. I've opened up the public comment at this point to
Okay.
favor or not favor, because we talked to you about it 3-4 weeks ago.
Sure.
With everything that was put into the road and how it was designed, and we have all the paperwork here.
Okay.
I figured if selectmen got into discussion, we'd open it up to public input.
Sure. That sounds good. Yep.
You have anything you want to add to it for why the town should accept it and go forward?
Yeah, I guess I want to thank everybody for letting me be heard tonight. We're here tonight to obtain the town acceptance for High Point Drive. High Point Drive was approved in August of 2007 by the planning board, and the road construction started in 2008. The road itself is 2,100 feet in length, and it's got a cul-de-sac at the end with a turnaround, and a majority of the stormwater flows through 2 drainage swales down into several catch basins and ends up in a large detention pond at the end of the subdivision. During the design, both my father and I worked closely with the different contractors to ensure all necessary steps were taken to provide a quality road. We actually ended up hauling gravel from a further distance because it was a better gravel, cleaner gravel. And it makes a big difference, obviously, with the holding up in the roads, especially this time of year when it's very frost susceptible. We did put stabilization fabric underneath the road. We also added under drains and put that along the side of the road to drain the road and the gravels off in the spring. We actually installed an extra 1/4 inch of pavement. And the reason we did that, we went with a larger mix aggregate. Instead of a 3/8 mix, we went with a 1/2 inch mix, and that's a little better mix, but you do have to go with a thicker mix to make that work. We did install a 20,000 gallon fire cistern, and that's been used by the town fire department on actually a house fire, from what I understand, on Avery Hill Road. And we do have a homeowners association that's been formed, and currently We have 9 residents and 9 houses that are built, and they're paying, generating $63,000 of taxes per year. We would like to try to obviously get the mailboxes in, that right now they're out on Alton Mountain Road, and we'd like to get those inside the subdivision, so it's a little for safety of the residents. And on January 27th, 2020, the planning board approved the road for final acceptance, final approval for construction. And so that's all been approved by the planning board, and we'll work through the whole process. And the town's been great with working with us and town attorney and everything else. But here we are tonight. We're asking the town for acceptance of High Point Drive as a town road.
Thank you, Brad.
Yep, sure.
Josh, do you have anybody else that wants to submit any comments? Okay, nobody else wants to submit any public input at this time. I would entertain closing the public comment at this time for the public hearing, open up discussion of this.
Make a motion to close it to public input at this time.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Paul and Michelle to close the public session of the public hearing of High Point Road, second by Mr. Holt. Any discussion? Hold the board. Mr. Holt?
Yes.
Mr. Michelle?
Yes.
Mr. Whitman? Yes. Mr. McDonald? Mr. Wentworth? Yes. Do we have Mr. Roberts on the phone? Or can we get Mr. Roberts? He is in attendance. Mr. Holt, Mr. Roberts is in attendance. Joe and I have been up 3 times now and looked at the road. I just have one concern in it. When the town, the public need is there, and Mr. Jones just verified the public need by the fire department using the cistern for fire up on Hill Road. Because that's one of the things I wanted to look at, was there public need for that road. Last meeting, 1, hikers go up, they go up to the Morris Preserve.
Right.
And 2 is tonight the fire. My only concern is when the town takes it over, is that the town should not have to do any maintenance on it, at least the first year. This year, if we go up there, if we take it over, we will be doing maintenance, because there are several cracks across the whole width of the road. And I just feel that those cracks should be sealed before the town takes the road over. We shouldn't have to go in the first year and have to seal cracks across the whole road. And I think there was about 3 to 4 cracks, Brad, that I saw.
Okay, yeah.
And the other thing, I don't feel the town should take it over until May 1st. And the only reason being is we're still in part of winter, even though spring's right around the corner, we could still have a light storm. None of our guys from the highway department has plowed that road or seen the road properly. And I don't feel it's fair to send them down on a new road, not being affiliated with it. And this would give them all summer to get themselves, or the driver on that route, accustomed to that road. But those are my only 2 concerns, and I would leave it up to you, and then Mr. Relic can talk about the cracks.
The plowing part, I think that they should be able to plow any road, take a ride on it and be able to plow. But Brad, didn't you take care of them cracks last year?
Well, we did. I mean, we've put a top coat of pavement on the road, and
Right.
and we, you know, I think if there's anything like that that needed to be addressed, I mean, we would have no problem, you know, to do I think it's very minor. I mean, obviously, it's tough to have a road that doesn't crack. But we've made every effort to keep that from happening, but I absolutely have no issue, and we're proud of the road, and you know, we want to, you know, so I have no problem having a company come out and seal that correctly. They'll actually kind of router that out and then seal that, and we can, you know, talk to Ken too and how he'd want to handle it. But I have no problem with that at all.
May I ask?
Yes, sir.
Brad, if I'm not mistaken, all the mailboxes are on Alton Mountain Road, correct?
They are at this
for the
point.
whole road.
Yep.
Those will be all moved.
Yeah,
Are
we'd
those
like,
all going to go to each and every residence?
we would like to put those in for each home, and we're gonna have that orderly and have them all put in at once. So I realize that we want to be careful and make sure the plows aren't hindered by location of boxes and that type of thing. But yes, that we would like to do that. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so that would be probably another good reason also to wait till May. If you could, until the ground isn't frozen, and those get moved, once it's accepted, that those all get moved before anything, the town takes it over to start plowing or doing maintenance. So that would also fall in, I think, in that category, would be a good idea to wait, like you suggested, until the mailboxes are moved and then the cracks are sealed and everything's taken care of.
Yeah, we wouldn't have a problem with that. And I don't have a problem with the waiting till May. You know, if we come up and agree on that, I have no issue with any of that. No.
Because that's also a, you know, taking the mailboxes off the main road is also, believe it or not, I look at it as a safety issue as well. People going out into the road on Main Road, you'll no longer have to do that. The mail will be able to go down and make the deliveries. So that's also good for the public as well. Thank you.
Yep.
Mr.
Thank you.
Holt?
Should we wait or should we approve it with these conditions?
I think we can approve it with those conditions on it.
So the two basic conditions would be the crack sealing
Mailbox.
and the mailboxes. And I don't have a problem, me personally, I think anybody can plow
Yeah,
it.
'cause
It's a simple road.
Mr. Jones has done a couple of roads that we've accepted, and they've held up really well.
The engineering and everything looks.
It's not so much that I'm concerned that the drivers can't plow, but they're not used to it.
Right.
All the drivers are regular, used to the regular loops. You're gonna be sending either a 10-wheeler down that road or a 6-wheeler. This time of year, with heavy snow, the driver not being used to that road or the contour of that road, thinking of the equipment and the safety of the driver. This way here, the driver gets used to it all summer long, knows which way the contours of the road are. Have any of you gone down to see the road?
Yep, I've been
You
on.
go down and you get into the swell, you do have a slight turn at the cul-de-sac there and come back. That's all I'm saying is I just think, and the town should never accept roads in the wintertime. They should only do it in the spring, and the fall, in the summer. They should never accept the road in the winter. That's the only reason I brought that up, the two items.
No, I agree.
Which makes sense. So, Mr. Roberts, are you with us on the phone?
Yes, I am, sir.
You have anything you'd like to say to the selectmen before we move on a vote?
Not unless you'd like to do a motion for that vote, the condition upon the crack sealing and everything, and actually set a date. You know, like April or May 17th or May 24th.
For the acceptance of the road, you mean?
That we'd start maintenance on those dates upon condition of those two being met. I do a conditional offer tonight that we would accept it and just make sure it's done by that date.
Yes, sir.
And I'm sure Brad would more than agree with that because we've done several roads together, the original crack sealing and everything him and I've talked about.
Yeah, we can make that happen. Yes, absolutely. Yep.
And
Yep.
I would ask Mr. Jones, let me know when he has completed everything that he is to complete, and then I can let the board know.
Yeah, I'll
By the
actually
time-
send you a letter in writing and get that to you. Yes, Mary. Yeah.
Because by this time, Mr. Roberts will be probably down with palm trees and sailboats on the ocean somewhere.
Down fishing.
Maybe in Hawaii if he gets the plane tickets.
I'll make sure my replacement knows.
Okay. So gentlemen, I will entertain a motion.
Motion that we accept High Point Drive with precedent of crack sealing and the mailboxes being set. And we accept the road on, what did you say, 17th?
May 17th to 24th.
May 17th?
Second.
That gives you enough time, right, Brad?
Yeah, that's
May
not a
17th.
problem. I can make that.
Okay.
Motion made by Mr. McDonald to accept High Point Road as a town road upon conditions of crack sealing being met and mailboxes being moved off Alton Mountain Road, and to accept the road at May 17th, correct?
Correct.
Second by Mr. Whitman. Discussion.
Yes, should we add, contingent upon also receiving the warranty deed?
We're gonna have a warranty.
Yeah, I think we had them.
So we already have all that, the
Yeah.
warranty
Coordinate.
deed and the mortgage lien holders and, okay, all right.
Yeah, according to our attorney.
Okay. That I didn't see. Thank you.
Any other discussion? I'll poll the board. Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Whitman?
Yes.
Mr. Rochelle?
Yes.
Mr. Holt?
Yes.
Mr. Wentworth, yes. Vote is in the affirmative. High Point Road will become a town road on May 17th, if the conditions are met.
Great. I really want to thank you for your time tonight. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. Take care.
All right, bye now.
Right.
So,
All right, gentlemen, moving on to new business, public action discussion. Liz has some papers to hand out to us.
I don't, but this is more for a Q&A. I wanted to let you know that, the emergency management director had asked me to see if they perhaps had their own facility for an auction, because I know that you all wanted to have an in-person auction. They do have a facility in Epping, but they do not recommend it because, first of all, it's not in town. It's quite a bit of a drive, and there are only 4 properties at this time. Anyways, it could decrease. And they are recommending that it just be done outside somewhere in warm weather. No chairs, no canopies. So I checked with the Parks and Rec director, and she recommended Jones Field. I asked her if she had a location that would hold 30 to 50 cars, and she does, Jones Field, with overflow parking across the street. So that's
why couldn't we do it at the bandstand?
because there's not enough room
First thing in the morning down there at the bandstand.
in the bay for parking with all of the tourists in the bay also,
My only concern with
for social distancing and so on.
But hopefully by late summer or fall, when we actually get to this, we'll be vaccinated and won't be so cramped up over it. Hopefully.
My only concern with Jones's Field is handicap accessible. They can say bridge is handicap accessible the way it is, but that's pretty tough to go across. I would still say Prospect Mountain High School.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Or Alton Central School, in the back parking lot at the school would allow us to use the grounds. I think you'd have more than enough parking over there.
Okay.
We average 30 people. You don't think we could use the gazebo in the lawn right there?
Down at the bay?
Yeah.
No.
Nobody's there in the
It's
lawn.
too much traffic, too much noise, traffic, cars going by trying to hold an auction. I think it'd be very disruptive.
I think the high school makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So I will certainly look into the schools on your behalf to see if we could hold one outside. And Mr. St. Jean from the auctioneering company that we use is online here to talk a little bit about,
Because my feelings on 4
Everything.
properties, we gotta wait another year, see if we have more properties next year, so you have more of a volume.
I would like to see that too. That we get 8, 10 properties.
Because what was listed on there, it wasn't a high tax-based properties anyways, I don't believe.
No, no.
No.
On our list that we have.
And mostly empty lots. But that's up to you, gentlemen, whatever you feel.
I think it makes sense to wait till we have some more properties.
I mean, I think it draws a bigger crowd. 8, 10 properties built.
how many years would you like to wait?
I'd like to see what we have next year in the inventory.
Okay,
Yeah.
it happens every September, so you'll know then.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Do you think we'll,
Oktoberfest at the high school.
I mean, I just think it's.
Lots
brought
of
more
sauerkraut.
people in.
He's shaking his head no.
I mean,
Here.
we had the last time when we had the auction, we had 12 or 14 properties.
Yeah, right.
But it drew a lot of people in for the first.
There's
There's a lot of people.
well, of course, the more properties, the more you're gonna get.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. It drew a lot of people in for the first time in a long time for the auction.
In 5 years. It had been 5 years since the previous
It's been 5
auction.
years since the previous one. So let's review it in September.
Yep.
When we know.
Yes, did you want to talk to Mr. St.
Buying lots this year.
You gentlemen have any questions, Mr. St. Jean? Yes, we don't at this point.
Sorry, Jay.
Mr. St. Jean, I'm sorry, I guess we don't have any questions, and we are looking to the consensus of the board to wait till September to see if we have more properties. Okay, at this point, and I'm sorry if we took up your time tonight where we didn't meet with you. Mr. St. Jean, are you there with us?
Yes, we're here. How are you? Thank you for allowing us to speak. Jay and Jim St. Jean here in our office in Epping, New Hampshire. We heard all the comments. We'd just like to add a few if we could.
Sure.
We've done probably 5 or 6 tax deeded property sales since the pandemic. In Deerfield, we did 18. We've done them in Swansea, Manchester, Concord. We've got Charlestown scheduled in a month, and we've got Concord scheduled this week. We've done them outside safely. Social distancing is the emphasis. It's worked very well. I know you guys would like to wait to have more properties. I would just caution you that the market, the real estate market right now is as good as it's going to be. You can wait. We're going to average 4 to 5 people per property. The last sale we did in Alton was in 2019. I think we had 40 bidders in 10 properties. If you want to wait till you have more properties, attract a bigger crowd, that's all well and good, but just keep in mind, we're ready to go 4 or 5 weeks notice. If you want to sell these 4 properties now, I think the time is right.
Well, I appreciate that, sir. Gentlemen, you have any concerns or comments on what Mr. St. Jean just said? So the consensus of the board is still wait till September.
Yeah.
Great. Consensus of the board is still to wait till September, but thank you for your time tonight, and I'm sorry that we didn't move further with this, but I think we're going to wait till September.
Okay, thank you very much for having us, and any questions, certainly reach out to us.
We will, sir. Thank you very much for your time.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, gentlemen, moving on to fire department, fire vote bid results and recommendations. In your packet, you'll see the chief had submitted out to bid for the vote. We saw where they came in a little higher than what we had talked about at our meetings, about $49,000 more, might as well say 50. No, he puts in his letter to us that the capital improvements called for $350,000. When he sat before us, they thought 300,000 would do it. That's why we put 150 from the unassigned fund balance. The other 150 would come out of the revolving fund. I went through the specs. They looked really good. As you notice, remember the capital reserves warrant article did pass at town meeting. The chief is looking to move forward with this to Eastern Boats out of Milton, New Hampshire. There was only a couple things in there that was not in the bid. One was the radios, 10 more radios.
Yeah, AC.
No
OAC.
I think the fire department can live without it.
Yeah, I think so.
Just open up the port windows or something and go faster. I know the chief is on the phone, I hope. Good evening, chief. How you doing, chief?
Hi, everyone. I can hear you.
All right. Pat's there.
Well, I'll see what I can do to answer your question. I'm sorry, Josh was adding me as a panelist. I didn't hear if there was anything specific that was brought up.
Well, it seems like the Eastern either meets or exceeds your specification. My question would be, I don't know about the rest of the board, the Kenmore radios or $8,000 allowance, you have not listed in there. So that means, is it going to be another 8,000 on top of the 349?
So yeah, if you want, I'll try and quickly sum this up the best I can. But to that point specifically, I did get clarification and that is in there. So that would not be an additional, it was not spelled out in the bid. So I did get clarification on that.
Go ahead, sir. The floor is yours.
Okay. So yeah, as you'll see here, I tried to kind of compile all the information to one document, so that way you weren't looking at pages and pages of specs as we did through this process. Just a couple things that I want to highlight right from the beginning, and I know we've had this conversation before, but I just wanted to try and put your minds at a little bit of ease going into this project. Specifically, so right from the very beginning, we're talking $300,000. I realize we're up to 350 at this point. And everybody was really on the same page that this sounded like a lot of money for a boat. But understand that we really are working on behalf of the taxpayer at this point. So you'll see at the low end is Eastern and at the high end is Metal Shark. So a couple things to consider here is the Metal Shark boat actually meets all NFPA standards. So whereas the Eastern boat does not. So we're not looking for the best of the best of the best. We're looking for something that we feel will adequately serve the town and all of the island tax base for the next 25 years. So that's kind of a big point for us on this. So we're not going for the fully NFPA compliant, and I could run down what all of those specs are. I can't imagine you want to hear them all. We are looking to stay, very budget friendly, but with also another point here also is that we're not intending on expanding our capabilities. These are the same capabilities we've had for the last 20 years. And although the residential market on the lake is growing, the houses that are being put in, not the little camps they used to be, they are substantial homes, 5+ bedrooms in some cases. We feel that the current setup and design of the boat we have now is adequate. So we are essentially looking to replace this boat in kind with just a new boat. And then also just one other thing that I wanted to bring up, and again, we're talking big money, and I just wanted to try and put it in perspective for you. In 2007, we purchased a fire engine at the cost of $425,000, I do believe. That truck was fully customized. And just last year, we purchased a not so customized truck for $600 and something thousand. So just based on the increase alone in fire apparatus, when this boat was brand new, it was probably somewhere in the neighborhood of $150,000 or so. We are gaining some capability with this one, but in the grand scheme of inflation, we're actually doing pretty good with this particular boat, or this particular piece of apparatus, I should say. I guess I'll move on to specific questions. You guys obviously see the backup page behind it. 384 island properties, of which only 50 of which are land lots. That's the protection area. Our 9 waterfront, obviously, hundreds of recreational boaters. Fun fact also, Alton covers the largest coverage area on Lake Winnipesaukee. Our couple mutual aid towns, so Guilford, Wolfboro. We are expecting a little bit of a response time gain with this particular boat because it will, in fact, carry more weight. So we'll be able to, and this is just based on a design upgrade from Eastern. Again, we're not looking to, we didn't upgrade this boat. This is just how they've redesigned it over the years. This will actually carry more weight. So we'll be able to leave in stage tools on the boat versus having to transport all the stuff from various trucks to the boat on every call. And then obviously our 4 major marinas providing hazmat response and mitigation with that as well. Again, I'll dig into any other questions you may have, but at this point I feel, and the chief, we feel that we're in the right direction to move forward with.
So the rationale for leaving it within Milton, New Hampshire is great because you wouldn't have to transport the boat out of the state for warranty work.
Correct.
I appreciate the breakdown you did. It was a very highlighted one, which made a lot of sense. Another question for another time that we'll have to have is where we station the boat. And that's for another time. It has nothing to do with this tonight. So what my understanding is $150,000 will come from the unassigned fund balance as voted on at town meeting. $174,675 would come from the revolving fund, from the chief's letter, and then $74,675 will be coming out of the, $24,675 will be coming out of the capital reserve fund. Is that my understanding?
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Sorry, I lost audio when I got switched over at first. I believe the money from the unassigned fund balance was put into the fire department equipment capital reserve. So that fund is, all that money's in that fund. There's no unassigned fund balance money for this boat specifically. It just went to capital reserve. So it would be just split 50-50 between capital reserve and the ambulance revolving fund.
I just wanted on record, though, that 150 that came out of the unassigned fund balance was going into the capital reserve for the fire boat. That's what was the main purpose of that statement. And I realize it's going into that account, but I just want to make sure another 24,675 though is coming out of your capital reserve that we did not plan on coming out of it. Just so it's on the record, so when someone asks that question, they understand where 24,000 just not disappeared to, but went to. That's all.
Okay.
You gentlemen have any questions for the chief or Pat?
This is gonna fit that dock that we have down there, right?
So this particular boat, being the width that it is, it will be substantially tighter than the current boat. The option that we do have is moving the fireboat to the outside of the dock and the police boat to the inside of the dock. So regardless, we'll be covered. We just may jockey around which boat sits where.
What's the carrying capacity? I see it ain't marked in here.
So it's not marked. Again, one of the things that we are venturing into with Eastern is the fact that they do not build fire boats. They build custom commercial boats. So a lot of this is going to depend on what the final weight ends up being. But they've assured me that this will have no troubles meeting our 3,000-pound carrying capacity.
What size bow thrusters are they putting in?
I honestly, I do apologize. I do not have the spec right here in front of me. I believe.
I didn't see it in there.
If you have a recommendation, I'd be happy to carry that forward. I don't have a lot of experience with bow thrusters myself. I do know it's going to be, it would be 12 volt, and it's not, that in particularly is not new to them. They deal with that stuff on a fairly regular basis.
Yeah. You want to find that information out first?
No, I just thought if he had it there, I'd like to know it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The Optimus 360 joystick helm system, can you explain that a little bit?
All right, so the Optimus system. So the Optimus system is essentially a single joystick that at low speeds will control the boat, very much like a skid steer for anybody that's run a skid steer. This will essentially allow us to have more maneuverability in poor weather conditions, and also provide more efficient docking for those who may be less familiar with boat operations. The idea for this came from Guilford. Guilford, as you know, just bought a new boat that is pretty significantly larger than ours. But they found this device to be particularly helpful with ensuring that the boat gets out on every call because it aids in that docking process. It doesn't require as skilled of an operator with a 30-foot boat.
Thank you.
So we're looking for a year out on this boat, correct?
That is correct. So when we discussed this,
300 days.
right. So when we discussed this back in December, they said that if we had essentially signed in January, then we'd be looking at an October delivery. But at this point, I don't think we'll end up seeing it until summer of 2022.
So
what are you going to do for a boat this summer?
So as some of you may recall, we did authorize emergency repairs only, or critical repairs only, I'm sorry, to get our current fireboat functional for this upcoming year. So there's some maintenance-y things that we're going to overlook, but essentially those severe water leaks that we were having that were killing the batteries regularly and all that, they're going to make those repairs in the fiberglass to get us through this year.
So $115,000, if this was accepted tonight, would be to start to, and how long would it be before they would actually start construction of the boat? If this were accepted?
300 days.
Yeah, I don't know that they'd be able to tell us exactly when they'd be able to start construction. But I do know that 300-day delivery date is a fairly reliable number. So I suspect, I believe they said it's about a 60-day build time from the time it hits the floor to the time it's done. So doing rough math, sometime midsummer, they'd probably commence on it, and we'd be able to do regular checkups, I would assume, through the build process.
So the build of 300 days is not from acceptance of this bid and when we give them the money, it's when they decide to start building.
No, that would be from today, or whenever.
Okay, so then basically we should have this by the 1st of March next year, or by the 1st of April, not the summertime then, correct?
Right, yeah, sorry, I just meant in service for the summertime. We were originally thinking that we might be able to have it in the water for a month, just to make sure it's good, and then maybe send it back if a tweak here and there. But at this point, it would be in service.
The twin 250 4-strokes, is that particularly common for this size boat?
That is actually very common, and if you look through most of the specs in relation to the requested speed range, it's pretty much right on the money, except for the bigger boats towards the end there.
Yes.
Up to 3.
30 footers.
Yeah, okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir, Mr. Holt.
On the delivery date, there's no kind of a penalty if the delivery date is not held up to?
We didn't specify that, but we certainly could try to do something like that if that is the wishes of the board.
Yeah, because I look at some of the problems we've had with our highway department trying to get trucks outfitted for winter use. And they give us a date, but they don't deliver.
Sure.
I had another question, Mr. Chairman.
Got the floor.
What's going to happen to the old boat when the new one arrives? Go out to auction?
That is certainly a topic for discussion, and the reason why we couldn't provide you a solid number on that is because it will have another year's worth of usage. So they weren't quite comfortable with giving us a trade-in value. So we could we have another topic on the thing tonight for municipal. We could very well use the municipal platform, or when we get towards the end, we could potentially offset some of this with trade-in, perhaps Eastern. But like I said, they weren't really interested in giving us numbers because of how far out it will be before we trade it in.
Any other questions, gentlemen?
And actually, if I could, just at face value, they were expecting that boat should bring somewhere in the neighborhood of 20,000 in good running, functioning, well, not in functioning condition. It should bring about $20,000, you know, somewhere on the seacoast, using it as a fishing boat or however they want to continue it on in life.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions for Mr. O'Brien or the chief? Okay, being none, gentlemen, thank you. You folks have any more you want to say to us?
I don't believe so.
Okay. All right, gentlemen, I'll entertain a motion at this point then. This is your so desire.
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I personally, I would like to table this. I'd like to make a motion to table this for our next meeting. I would like to think about it more myself. Right now, I'm hesitant.
Liquid-filled gauges. Pat, we have liquid-filled gauges on this? That could be a problem with storage in the winter?
No, most of the new ones are filled with like a glycol-y antifreeze. And there will only be, I believe, 2 of them for the pump. So that shouldn't be, we have them on all the fire trucks now, and they're perfectly fine.
Okay, gentlemen, I've asked for a motion. Mr. Holt came out and wants to postpone for 1 week. I guess he wants a little more looking, I guess, over the specs and think about this more. What is the board's pleasure?
So a second to the motion.
Was that a motion?
Yeah. That was his
I
motion.
realize it was a motion. Do I have a second to Mr. Holt's motion?
I'll second.
Motion made by Mr. Holt to postpone the awarding of the fire boat for 1 week. Second by Mr. McDonald. Discussion.
Just go over it, Bob? Just to go through it?
Yeah, I'm not convinced, I'm sorry.
Not convinced as to what, that we need one or that price is right?
Well, it's between the price and, keeping the old one.
You mean keeping?
Yeah, 300, we talked 300,000 at the beginning here. I know 350 was put out originally. And of course, that's just what it came in, 350. And $300,000, that's a lot of money. I think, I know it's a special boat, don't get me wrong. Do we need it all? I looked at the amount of times it's used, which is minimal, in my opinion. I understand it's an emergency vehicle. I personally own property on an island on the ocean in the town of Hartswell, Maine, which is a very wealthy town. What they had for a fireboat, they had multi-islands, by the way. I don't know if they had houses, but all they had was a little skiff with a little one lunger for, for putting a fire out on an island. So that was a few years ago.
Any other discussion?
I think it can hurt to think about it for another week.
No, it doesn't hurt. I mean, one of the things that I've been pondering in my mind, and it's something that a couple of residents have told me from quite a few years past, and Ruben, you brought it up, and I was going to bring it up, and you decided not to talk about it now. But I think it does make a difference on the purchase of this boat, is where we keep the boat. Now, time is an issue of getting out to the islands. I've never seen that it was adequate to have the rescue boat all the way in Alton Bay and not over towards West Alton. And the boat used to be over in West Alton. Quicker response time is what you're looking for. To me, it would make more sense to leave from West Alton with maybe this could make a difference in the size of the boat, the difference on what were you putting for motors to propel this boat, if it doesn't have to go this far a distance. To me, it makes sense to have a spot in West Alton or West Alton Marina or somewhere there, respond, and response time, I think, would be much quicker than going from the bay. And this is my opinion. I think that might make a difference in what kind of boat we have. So I have to agree with Bob in a way that this actually should be thought about maybe a little bit more.
So I'd be happy to comment on that because this topic.
Okay.
Before. So yes, previously, probably 10 years ago or so, Minge Cove Marina offered us a spot in Minge Cove, and the boat was stored there for a period of time. This was actually when the motors were replaced, so not quite 10 years ago. This was about 2012.
Right.
It was stored at West Alton Marina, or I'm sorry, not West Alton Marina, Minge Cove Marina for a period of time. So a few things. So we did response time solutions with traffic, not with emergency lights, from the central station to the boat dock in the bay and up the lake with the boat, versus from the central station to Minge Cove Marina, out onto the peninsula, into the boat, and then out to the lake. In fact, it was faster from the bay. There was less obstacles. There was less traffic that we had to contend with. There was less traffic in the marinas to contend with. We did create some enemies responding out of Minge Cove in terms of creating a wake, because there's an extremely large no wake zone there. And just the needing to haul all of the gear out to the end of the peninsula. And there was also an issue there with draft. So at certain times of the year, there was extremely low clearance over there, and the boat would actually be hitting the ground on the dock. So we have been down this road before in terms of response time, and we've done real-time drills. Granted, it was 8 years or 9 years now, but I was actually part of those drills way back then.
All right, thank you.
He has something over here to say. If you do, I'm gonna allow it.
I just would like to add for that discussion, because we were part of the Minge Cove Marina as well.
Yeah.
Both of our boats went in the same place. One thing I really want to draw your attention to, and like you said, you're talking about a marina that has hundreds of people staying there.
Right.
And you roll apparatus and police cars into an area where people are enjoying themselves, probably pretty regularly. It becomes very dangerous. And the other thing is the apparatus and the fire trucks and the police cars and things, once they get on the boat and board, they don't have any place to park. They're just left out in the open area because we don't have time to shuttle them into an appropriate spot. So along the lines of the other examples that he made, we did find that was an issue. We also had an issue with vandalism because the marinas because there's so many boats in there, we can't keep a closer eye on them. The town docks, we can patrol pretty regularly. We even had a light installed by the co-op to light that dock area. It's just a couple of key points.
Well, thank you both for clearing that up, because it was something that I've discussed with a few residents and just thinking about the response time. And you make it clarified to some of the issues that you have with that. Thank you.
Welcome.
The only reason I didn't bring it up tonight was I figured we get this part out of the way, then we'd have them come back in and explain why and have that question.
But I was thinking it might make a difference in the size of the boat, and propulsion and all that if it works out well. But these are some of the unknowns that I have.
Have we got a price on rebuilding the one we got, like we did the police boat?
So I don't want to misspeak. I'd let Chief Heath elaborate on that. But in terms of rebuilding, you would essentially be completely rebuilding the boat. The whole cab has got to come off that boat to rebuild the underside and the hull. And that still doesn't solve some of the issues that we have with that boat in terms of functionality and the fact that it was not purpose built. So, I mean, we could certainly travel down that road, but the fiberglass does get old, much like concrete for those of you that are in the construction business. Concrete does dry out eventually. Concrete remains wet for the majority of its life, but once it does dry out, it becomes very brittle. Fiberglass will do the exact same thing. And this is, from what I'm being told, a very reasonable lifespan for this particular boat, especially those on the ocean.
Okay, gentlemen, any other discussion? Motion's on the floor. The only thing I will say, a week is not gonna hurt it, but I have not changed my mind about purchasing the new boat. I believe we should. So I will poll the board now for postponing this for 1 week. Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, a week won't hurt.
Mr. Holt?
Yes.
Mr. Wentworth, yes. Gentlemen, we will review this again next Monday night, same time, same place, if you'd like to join us again.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to old business. Fire Department sale ladder truck municipal bids. your packet, and Chief has sent us a letter right after this. He's still on the line with us. Requesting permission to go ahead and release this to the highest bidder,
I had one question.
so they can get this out of the station. Mr. Holt,
I'm looking at the bid history sheet, and there's 3 bidders at 3,100. How does that work? I mean, that's the top bid, right?
3,100, yes.
3,100.
There's 3 of them.
And we only had it on the bid site 14 days.
That's their average. So the way it works at the end, the highest bidder will put his bid in, and he'll go up to a certain amount, and that bid gets raised as other people bid. So
Yeah, but
he
you only,
basically has it set up to automatically raise as they raise the bid price.
So I guess what Mr. Holt was asking is you got $3,100, 3 top bids in there. So what will be the selling price be?
So I'll clear this up for you folks. A lot of what happens, and again, the 14 days, this was actually posted for 28 days, but it didn't go live until the last 14. Municipal only suggests a 14-day span because as you'll see on here by the bids, people wait until the last day to do their bidding because they want to be right there. So they might throw in a bid way ahead of time, so that way they're attached to the ad and they're notified as other people make bids. But as a general rule, they will all go in and bid within those last 8 hours. And that's been our experience with the last 3 items that we've sold. So that's why you'll see this. And at the end, what some people will also do is they'll wait until the last second to bid. And again, that's kind of what you're seeing down at the bottom here, is people waiting until the last second to bid. So
it's only 2 people.
So Robert Mulholland, so he had a standing bid in there. So as people raise their bid, his bid's automatically going to jump, match theirs until he's the winner or until his cap is reached. So he had a bid in there that was higher than the last bidder's number, so it matched it. So he will be the high bidder until his bid runs out, essentially, or until his cap.
Well, he's matching. Oh, he's matching Ferry. Why wouldn't we give it to Ferry? We'll call them and see if they'll go up higher. I mean, if he's putting a bid in and it's just following somebody's bid, this Ferry is at 3,100 at the top of the list.
You're needed out front at the front door.
I am.
Yeah.
I'm logging in now to see if I can see anything more than what this sheet is telling us. I apologize.
I guess, Pat, what you were saying, in case you didn't understand, Carolyn P. put in a bid at 6:14:51 a.m. for $3,100.
And Bob.
And Bob O 44 did the same thing at 6:14:51. And he also, Bob O 44, put one at 6:28. So really,
It's all the same bid.
it's hard to say who was actually be the winner because the 2 of them put in this bid at the same time.
Yeah.
I know, I was confused. I still am.
All right, so if you go down that list and look at 12/33/31 on 3/7,
Yes, sir.
you'll see basically they made bids at the same time again.
Mm-hmm.
And what that is somebody had their bid already in, but they had a cap on it. So when this other person made the bid, it automatically did their bid at the same time to match. eBay does the same thing. If you're bidding on something, if you say, I'm gonna bid $50 right now, but I'm willing to pay 200, and somebody comes in and they bid 75, it automatically moves you to 75. It matches that highest bid. That's how online auctions work. And so
Well-
it does it at the exact same timestamp. It just moves you up.
If you go online and you go to bring a trailer, that's a car auction or a vehicle auction. And boy, that one doesn't work that way. You put a bid in and your bid, you bid $1,000. That bid is listed there as $1,000. Nobody else bids until they bid more. The next guy bids, it's 1,500. And this keeps going on and on. And
It's usually how it works.
that's how, I don't personally bid on there, but I have a gentleman that bids for me.
It sounds like their argument is actually with the software of the company, the Muni bid company, which I don't know if you can really win that argument, you know.
Well, I guess what I'm looking at is, and I got an auction publicly, I won't do an online auction because of things like this. Because the town has to decide which one of them is the winner. So what they're doing is going down and looking and see if you saw the other two, it just keeps increasing. This here does not tell me who the clear winner of that bid was.
Right.
Well, it does on the sheet from Muni bid. You look at the paragraph that's above the block, it's right in the middle. It says the name, high bidder.
Yes,
Bid of Rob.
Yeah, it says,
it does.
Yes.
but there's this Carolyn P. She bid the same thing.
Right.
Well, it automatically raised her bid up to matches, which I don't understand why it would do that versus
And it was at the same time.
it not going $5 more or $10 more.
That's what I
So
was
did she
trying to
put a
get
bid
at.
in for the 3,100 and then Bob
It matches that.
matched up $200 because she was at 2,900. I'm reading it right.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
3,100, he was at 3,000, and his just automatically bumping 100. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but
That's
see,
what I was trying to get at, that it shouldn't be able to follow it up like that, and then you award him it.
yeah, but both of their bids
They're at the same
at
time.
the exact same time.
They're both at $3,100 at the same time.
You know, how do you pick who gets it?
Well, the company picks it. It's on that sheet.
So Municipal is the one that picked the highest bidder, Robert
Yeah.
Mulholland, excuse me.
Probably had a higher limit, that's why. He might have had $4,000, but it only went to whatever sheet he maxed out for,
Mhm.
so he would win. That's how that works.
Then it should match him out to what he was at.
3,200
They
or
want him to
3,300.
But it's he'll win because his max is higher than
But
hers. But
win.
it's the
His
same
should have been
number.
higher than hers to win it.
You want me to write a letter to the company?
Sure would.
Okay.
Or vice versa.
$3,100 and 1 cent.
Another $100.
Well, we're getting a lot more than we,
Gentlemen, what's your pleasure?
The only other piece of information that I'll add is they have already taken his 9% buyer's fee.
We take,
So if anything ever comes back, we'll go against Municipal, correct?
Correct.
I know the last one, the last ladder truck we took apart. We took all the brass and stuff out of it. We made $4,000 in junk out of that ladder truck.
yeah.
Okay.
Gentlemen, what's your pleasure?
Well, I think we voted to go out to
There you
bid
go.
for this and $1,000.
Excuse me?
Right.
We voted to go out and auction this and with
I
$1,000.
need a motion to release it to the highest bidder.
I make a motion that we accept the recommendation of $3,100 to Robert Mulholland, okay, as presented.
Motion made by Mr. Holt to let the ladder truck go at $3,100. Highest bidder, Mr. Robert Mulholland, second by Virgil McDonald. Discussion. Hold the board. Ms. McDonald.
Yes.
Mr. Whitman.
Yes.
Mr. Holt.
Yes.
Mr. Michelle.
Yes.
Yes, votes in favor. Gentlemen, you have our blessings to let the ladder truck go down the road.
Thank you.
You.
Nothing simple.
Gentlemen, moving on with the chief again, Fire Department Central Station Bay Floor Repair. We have a recommendation in there for you to bid. Remember last fall, they came to us and said how bad the floor was cracking and settling? Said to go out and get estimates.
You got them.
Yeah. One.
So just so you understand, we put this out to bid a while ago and got nothing back by the deadline. This gentleman is actually a person who came into the station, saw the floor and said, hey, I'm a concrete guy. I said, well, here's the spec, send a quote and I'll send it up to the selectmen and see what they say. It was not originally sent out to this company. It was sent out to many others in the area. This company's out of Gilmanton.
But none of the others responded.
Nothing.
When
I'm
was
pretty
that
sure
sent
I
out?
went out to 10 different companies.
Wow.
Did we advertise in the paper also?
Yep.
And when did we send it out?
It was sent out in September.
In the summer.
You think it's worth sending it out again?
That I'm not sure about.
Well, gentlemen, to me, at $36,200, it's worth sending out again.
Yeah, because I have,
Well. 10%, additional cost, it's what's under there. Depends what they find under it.
Yeah. Plus there's a 50% upfront.
I
That's the job.
think it's actually a reasonable price,
do
in
you?
my opinion.
The 3 bays, yeah.
The 3 bays, the material that could be moved out of there, taken out of there. I mean, I'm not saying we shouldn't get another bid. I think it's probably a good idea to put it out again. But I think you're gonna find that these guys are gonna be right on the ball.
I'm not saying it's a bad price, but I've always made the highway agent go out.
Yep.
When he comes in with only one price, go back
Go
out
again.
and submit it. I think we should send it back out.
I think it's good. I just didn't know if you were thinking it was like way out of the ballpark. I don't think it's out of the ballpark.
Not for what has to be done and everything.
Within,
It's a lot of work.
within the guideline. It is a lot.
Concern, I do have a concern as a contractor acting for $50,000 out of a $36,000 bid. For 50% down.
Down, yeah, half.
Yeah, I think it should go up to bid again. At least try putting it back out there again one more time.
Gentlemen, how do you agree?
I agree.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Paul does, Phil does, Mr. Holt?
Yes.
Chief, you could put it back out to bid for 30 days and come back for us, that'd be great.
Okay, do you want him to resubmit with everybody else, or do you want to stay with this bid?
I'm sorry, say that again?
The quote he sent you, do you want to keep that, or do you want me to have him requote with everybody else as well?
I think he should requote unless he gives you authorization, that is where he'll stand on with his bid.
Okay,
Turn it back in.
yep,
Or just turn it back in when the deadline is.
yeah, no problem.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, moving on. This is the one I've been waiting for. This is why I wasn't coming tonight.
Here we go.
Moving on to 3, Bay Hill Road signage discussion.
What was that all?
Got the road down, dig it out, parking lot on each end, everybody parks and walks.
Okay, Mr. Holt and Mr. Rochelle. I think you had a conversation with Liz this week about the road.
Yeah.
Yes,
You already know what you want to do, so I'll hand you the floor.
it's gonna be quite simple, actually.
Yeah.
Just like to make a new motion. Like to make if I may, like to make a motion to put the 6-ton limit signs back on. That's my motion.
Are you going to take away your motion from last week? Rescind the motion from last week?
No, because after reviewing the minutes, looking at the minutes carefully, but we can discuss this in a second, but I didn't want to make any more confusion than there already was. The motion from last week, as we know, was to put a sign that said to no through trucking. We agreed on that. That motion stands. I just want to make sure that, but the other signs that were taken down, we did ask to have some signs taken down, all taken down. That was to my surprise, because that's not the way it was put out there. And if you look at the minutes, it's not quite correct. But at any rate, to make it really simple, just put the 6-ton limit signs back on. We keep the motion for the no through traffic along with the 6-ton limit. That corrects it so that cars and trucks can go through, just anything over 6 ton.
No through.
No through truck traffic. So that's what the motion was last week.
No through truck traffic.
No through truck traffic.
No through trucking.
No through trucking, that stands. I'd like to leave that alone, and just, my new motion would be to put the 6-ton limit signs, permanent signs back up.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Mr. Rochelle to put the 6-ton road limit signs back on Bay Hill Road, second by Mr. Holt. That's the way you want your motion, that's the way you stated your motion, right? Discussion.
The town roads, well, should have a 6-ton load limit on it right now anyways.
Well, it does have a temporary sign on it, yes.
Temporary one until another probably 3 weeks, and then they'll be gone. Only this discussion I have, seeing you brought up what was in the minute.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna ask the chief while he's sitting here, because he wanted to be, he wanted to stay just in case. Chief, in the RSA's, when it says no through trucking, where does the weight start at that point? Does it start at 6-ton, 8-ton, 10-ton?
No through trucking is, any commercial truck. Heck, it's any commercial truck by definition.
So contractor,
No, with a pickup truck and things like
the
that.
letters, the name and everything is on it, telephone number, advertising as for business, it's not considered commercial?
No, it's by statute.
By weight.
definition.
Okay, so then why does DOT stop local guys here in town contract with the name on it as a commercial truck? Can you,
They're operating under different.
can you find that out, can you find that out for me?
That's probably the hauling regulation.
I'm just gonna ask you to find that out for me. Because if the town can't,
They're gonna tell me I need a specific scenario.
all I'm saying is that if the town can't enforce a commercial truck going up there, which is a contractor carrying a trailer, which at this point is overloaded, over the weight limit at 6 ton or close to it, or you have the Granite State van going down at the slid off the road, that's a commercial vehicle too. That's why it's like no commercial vehicle on when I was talking about it, only because that defeats the purpose of what you're trying to do. Because the gentleman from the Granite State said he was following the GPS. So I guess that's all I'm saying.
Right. I'm thinking, since we're in discussion, and we've had this conversation, and we've had conversations with residents, that it would curb trucking coming through. Okay, it would curb trucking coming through. My concern was also, as you know, was enforcement, and so that, you know, we do curb the traffic coming down as far as speed, because people do come up and down quickly. That was our concern. We've had 18-wheelers coming down because of GPS. We've had large trucks come down Bay Hill, and they have a difficult time if they come down the bottom of the hill to see to the right, enter into traffic. So this is the whole consensus to try to curb the trucks, and putting a weight limit. I thought that could be enforced with 6 ton.
It will be now, yes.
Okay, and then as far as the residents are concerned, residents will still, if someone has, you know, if the residents that are on Bay Hill Road, if somebody is doing, having a septic tank replaced, this is still allowable because it's not going through, it's going to their home. So they can still do their repairs on their homes, they can still have their deliveries and things like that. But the through trucking coming from 28 to 28A is what we're trying to slow down.
Good. Yep.
And
Can I stop traffic on the Wolfboro Road too? It's too much traffic.
You probably can.
But if we're still on discussion, since this is not part of the motion.
This makes good sense to put the 6 ton limit back up.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's all.
It stops from having a public hearing, am I correct there, Town Administrator? Why, we had a 6 ton on it before?
Yeah, but
there was a public hearing that removed all permanent.
Oh, that's right, I remember that, yes.
Go.
Up there, so right now, that's been taken out of the ordinance, but the other thing I want to bring up is it's duplicative to put a 6 ton load limit and no through trucking. It's the same thing. If there's no through trucking, there's no weight limit. It means absolutely no through trucking unless they have a permitted delivery or something for that resident. So really, all you would need is the no-through trucking sign.
Mhm.
You wouldn't have to put a weight limit on it. Now, the
Okay.
6-ton weight limits are different from the temporary signs. Those are enforceable because the temporary ones under our town ordinance are covered in
Okay.
a different section.
All right.
Different authority for the highway manager under that, to do the temporary signage.
Okay.
Yeah, but our, my idea of the 6-ton and the no-through trucking, what's a truck? With the 6-ton limit, maybe the sign should say, no-through trucking, 6-ton trucks. That's what the 6 ton's all about. But no-through trucking.
Okay.
Do you
You want to
understand?
define the weight, you want to define the weight.
Weight, yeah. I mean,
That was the whole purpose of trying to put that back on.
put the sign on
It was
6
there
tons.
before. But that was probably the only sign that was possibly paid attention to once in a while.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, it wasn't enforceable.
It wasn't because
it wasn't.
they forgot to take it off
Right.
after the public
Correct,
hearing we had, I think it was 2016. That they originally lifted all the weight limits.
Mhm.
So,
But see, the problem is if you go just no-through trucking, like Reuben said the other night and tonight, what's a truck? What's the
Right,
definition of a
exactly.
truck?
But it's defined by law, the chief was saying, I think, on the phone last week.
there's,
It's
the weight
vague.
limit thing is tricky where it comes to, you have a commercial vehicles, anything over 26,000 pounds.
Yeah.
But then you get into combinations of trailer, hauling weights,
Mhm.
things like that.
Yeah, I know.
And to be honest with you, I couldn't recite them all to you tonight. I
Okay.
couldn't. It's just not so, our forte locally. That's why they have troop chief to do the truck enforcements. And I'm not saying that we wouldn't enforce a no-through trucking or anything like that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that the different stipulations on commercial ratings, and all of that. What I can do is, I can tomorrow, and get back to Liz with the information, this specific scenario about the no-through trucking and the 6-ton combo, to find out whether or not that's necessary or not. If it's going to, meaning.
So it's simplified.
Yes.
I thought it's
If that.
Well, that's what we're trying to do, is simplify.
Trying to simplify it, because since we're in discussion, the whole minutes was all confused last week, partially because I made a motion, continued discussion about it, and it was confusing for the road agent, yourself, because there were signs on the left which nobody really knew about who put them there.
Yeah, apparently it was.
And they were
an outside
removed.
contractor that put them up there.
I had asked to move signs, but not until we had new signs to replace them with. So that's where the confusion started. So now all the signs we're taking down, we got 2 signs at just 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. At the time, I thought it was important to leave the 20% signs there, but everything else goes. So that was part of the confusion of the discussion. So to make it simple, the motion was just to have the no-through trucking sign that we already voted on last week, but add the 6-ton limit. If you'd like to look and do the research on that and see if it makes sense to put the 2 together, by all means.
Sure.
I'll rescind my motion then and wait till next time we meet.
And that's fine, I can have that.
I think we need to, plus two,
Yeah.
by making a motion, put the 6-ton or no-through trucking up. At the same time in your motion, you ask the town administrator to schedule a public hearing, because we can't put anything up
Right.
until we have a public hearing.
Okay.
Because it's not enforceable. You could put it up, but the chief and the officers.
If we want.
The other way.
If we want to make it enforceable, we have to have the.
We have to have, you have to have a
I understand.
mechanism for enforcement for local signage, has
Yeah.
to be like an ordinance.
But we have to decide what we want for a sign to start off.
Right.
And that's what the motion was for tonight.
And my understanding of what you're talking about would be like a no-through trucking with a 6-ton limit
Yes,
right below.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yes.
On the same sign.
And that's it,
And then that
nothing
way
else.
it's not it's better if they're going to be in combination, if they're on the same pole.
Right.
I mean, we have 4 signs on this side, 3 on the side, so it's making it confusing, and just make it real easy with a speed limit sign, a 6-ton if it makes sense, with the no-through trucking sign. Because it was confusing last week I was just surprised to see all the signs removed when that wasn't part of the motion.
Well, it wasn't the intent either.
It wasn't the intent.
Where would your motion stand then now at this point? Wait till next week?
That motion, I'd wait till next week, and at this point, I had a second motion I wanted to make, but I can also wait till next week, and that would be the temporary signage that we talked about that we would try. That was on the minutes, which is temporary signage, which would be from October 30th to April 15th. Do not use Bay Hill in inclement weather.
That was, my
That's something
understanding of that conversation was temporary in the sense that it was a time frame, but that the signs would be permanently mounted, year-round.
Yeah, with the date.
With the date.
With the date.
With the
Yeah,
time.
That's fine.
That's just what he
And the
said.
reason why is that
That's
you
what I
we're not
understand.
trying to rely on somebody to run out there in the middle of the
No, and put them there permanently.
Right.
So then that would be killing two birds with one stone. To try to control the traffic, speed, what's coming down the hill, up the hill, and taking care of in the winter, where the big problem is of people coming down the hill to hopefully that, in your own words, conditioning people to not use Bay Hill during inclement weather.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Yeah.
So I'll wait till next week.
Draw your a second, Bob?
Yeah.
Draw your.
I withdraw my motion and wait till next week.
All righty. Move on to number 4. Thank you, Chief.
Yes, thank you very much.
Amended drug and alcohol policy.
Yeah, where are we? Ooh.
I thought I did. Well, just keep going, that's all the Just pass these minutes through.
Laura, if you want to just comment on that.
We just added the medical card requirement that you approved.
Yeah.
And I will add it also to the personnel policy at some point, just this little blurb.
And the other thing is, we are going to have someone that is been sent to school to, because it's like me at my school. I send myself to a class to tell myself if I'm on the other side.
I know about that.
To
Reasonable.
the Federal Department of Transportation, which I don't because I'm a sole employee. If I had an employee that had a CDLA, I would have to do the same.
Yep.
We'll have someone trained in that department.
All supervisors of all levels will be. Yeah,
Because Mr. Roberts is the only one right now, I think, in town that is supervised that.
that's going to change. 'Cause
Besides the police department, maybe. Because they find impaired drivers. They must know. Okay. Say, gentlemen, do I have a motion to approve as amended on the drug and alcohol policy?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Holt, to approve the drug and alcohol policy as amended to require the medical card. All employees driving town vehicles over 10,000 pounds. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Whitman. Any discussion? If not, being none, Mr. McDonald.
Yes.
Mr. Whitman.
Yes.
Mr. Holt. Yes. Mr. Rochelle.
Yes.
Mr. Wentworth, yes. Votes in affirmative. Thank you. All right, gentlemen, moving on. Move on to Selectmen's report. Mr. Holt.
I just have one thing I'd like to bring up. Do we have a town employee safety committee?
Yes, sir.
We do?
We do have a safety committee, yes.
Do they, I looked through all the stuff I had, I couldn't find one, you know.
It's the Joint Loss Management Committee, and actually the fire chief is the chairman of that committee. Laura's on it. And it follows the standard DOL safety protocols for an equal amount of supervisors versus employees,
Yeah.
and so on and so forth.
How
Yeah.
many members are there?
Off the top of my head, I don't know.
And are they active?
Yes.
Yeah?
In fact, they just had a meeting, I think, wasn't it last week, Laura? Yeah.
Okay, good. No, it's just I've never heard of any meetings or, and, you know, we kind of had a little mishap this week and I was kind of, it just brought it to my mind, that's all. Thank you.
Nothing at this time.
Mr. Wentworth, I just have one thing, just to iterate, not take too long on it. After I heard of the incident, from the email we got, I did call the town administrator and asked her for an investigation. She said, well, normally we don't do an investigation, we just, they look at it with the risk management and go for it. Well, I'm of the opinion, when I've worked at the air base, down at the Pease, there was an accident, whether it was a vehicle or someone got hurt or injured. They had an investigation unit that went out and took pictures, took interviews, and brought them back and made a report. How did the accident happen? Why did the accident happen? What can be prevented from the accident happening again? Unfortunately for our town employee, this accident, it's unfortunate it happened to him. It's also unfortunate, he wasn't on the clock when this happened. He was in his own personal vehicle, he signed, was not signed in yet. But still, to my point, there should have been an investigation. Say, could the town have done something better? In this case, I don't think so. But I think anytime when an employee is involved in an accident, whether it's workman's comp, a vehicle or anything, we should have some sort of an investigation unit that goes out, takes pictures, because it's very easy for us to sit here and talk about it unless we went out and saw it. Saw where it happened and possibly interview how it happened. Okay? To me, it makes the investigation unit side a little easier to understand. Then they can bring us back to facts. Because just hearing about it on a phone call or an email, that was my first question to Liz. So then she in turn contacts all the waste center director. Then she sent out that other email to us. So I just think it would be a little more informative and more files for the insurance company that way. Yes, ma'am.
So under New Hampshire state law, the Joint Loss Management Committee does review all injuries, on-duty injuries. And I know that our current Joint Loss Management Committee is doing that. But I will reach out to the fire chief and talk to him about the suggestion about taking it a step further and having an actual investigation.
And I guess you want to, but a review of it, if you want to make it in nicer terms versus an investigation, maybe a review of what happened.
So they do that already, just for on-duty employees.
And I understand it, but still, even at town property, when something like that happens, because it still was on town property, I still think something should be gone up and looked at and just a report made on.
So, like you said, if we can do something that so it doesn't happen again.
So what if, at this point, there's nothing we could have done on that?
What if this person wasn't a town employee and that happened to? Do you think that should be investigated?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I do too. And
Just to protect us and
matter what.
and maybe instead of allowing people just to back up and get on the tailgate or on the bumper and throw stuff off, they have to put it down, the loader comes and pushes it in. Maybe we incited it by having an open dumpster policy that you just back up and you throw stuff off out of your truck. I don't want some lawyer sitting out there saying, well, if the town would have put barricades across there so they couldn't just back up over the dumpster and throw things off, this gentleman would never have gotten hurt. And the only reason I say that is I go back to the tractor trailer driver on 293. Driving down the road, guy jumps off the bridge, and this happened about 12 years ago, jumps off the bridge, smack. Gentleman's dead. You know who was at fault for that? The truck driver. Because he ran out of hours. If he'd stopped when he was supposed to, that accident would never happen. They sued the truck driver and the trucking company, or somebody that wanted to commit suicide. The family won, and they won.
sure, he was operating illegally.
Right. So all I'm saying is, we allow our customers, our taxpayers, to back up to those dumpsters, overhang them, jump on their tailgater, and the truck start throwing things over.
Every day.
Every day.
We allow it. It's like putting a sign up, beware of dog. You're already telling someone you got a bad dog that could bite you. So what do? They go in, they get bit, they sue you. So all I'm saying is protect the town's interest more. Maybe we should look at some of those things. That's all. Liz?
Would you like to speak with the chairman of the Joint Loss Management Committee now, or do you want to wait until I
I'd
speak
like
with
to
him later?
have you talk to him, see what he thinks, and then we can set up an appointment on another meeting on it.
All right,
Because we have some other things we got to take care of tonight. We've prolonged some issues here, that's all.
all right, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Anybody else have anything to say what I just said, or?
Well,
It's on town property. I agree with you.
I think this is gonna end up being investigated by a couple insurance companies too.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I'm sure.
because, you have basically 3 insurance companies.
but I definitely.
could get involved,
We always report any injury on town property to our insurance.
liability.
I definitely support, investigating and taking pictures.
Both different.
Can I ask though another question with back, one step that Bob had asked, if I may, during his period of time, on the safety team? Has there ever been a selectman on the safety team?
No, selectmen are not on it.
Are they not allowed to be?
Right.
Yeah, RSA.
That's an RSA?
Yeah, it's supposed to be equal amount of employee, hourly
Okay.
type employee
Yeah.
and management.
Yeah, and if you're gonna have an uneven number, the employee, non-management employee has to have the higher number. That's the law.
Yeah, I was just curious why. Okay, thank you.
Nothing else, I'll move on to town administrator's report.
The only thing is to wrap up, hopefully, the Atlantic broadband thing that we were discussing earlier at the beginning of the meeting. If you would like to have her at the next meeting, or any questions you may have, or explain what she explained to me on the phone, it's up to you.
I think our big question is money. I don't care, you know,
Well, I asked her that, and this is,
Yeah.
you know,
I know, it's,
Getting a straight answer.
Well, I guess what we should do is have an hourly rate and then estimated how many hours they feel it'll take to do the contract, because according to the letter, it's
I know,
in your notes here.
I mean, are we gonna spend $6,000 or $50,000?
how about if I have her attend next meeting?
Sounds good.
She can
Yes,
explain
yes.
it to you. Okay, thank you, that's all I have.
All right, moving on to approval of minutes, March 1st, 2021, regular.
Move to accept the minutes as written of the March 1st regular meeting.
I'll second that.
Made by Phil Whitman, to approve the March 1st, 2021, regular minutes, second by Mr. Holt. Discussion. Hold the board, Ms. McDonald.
Yes.
Mr. Whitman,
Yes,
Mr. Rochelle.
Yes.
Mr. Holt,
Yes,
Mr. Wentworth, yes, votes in affirmative.
can Virgil vote on that? He wasn't there.
Oh,
That's right, Irving, you were out there.
technically, he can vote.
Change your vote and one abstention. Let the record show that there was 4 affirmative and 1 abstention, Mr. McDonald, where he was not present. We on the March 1st, 2021, non-public session.
Okay, that one. I move we accept, approve the minutes of March 1st, non-public session.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Holt to approve the non-public session minutes, second by Mr. Rochelle. And I would still say number 1 should not be divulged.
Yes, yes, sir.
2 and number 3, this town administrator, I believe, can.
number 2 can be, number 3, I think where it deals with personnel, it should not be.
Number 1 and number 3, not to divulge, and number 2, to release.
Divulge, okay.
Gentlemen agree with that, that made the motion?
Yeah.
Motion. And now poll the board. If there's no more discussion, Mr. McDonald.
Ooh,
Mr. Whitman?
Yes,
Mr. Rochelle?
Yes.
Mr. Holt?
I have one discussion. Reference that default. This plan this pertains to reputation C. Okay. Our whole question, when Lauren Carr,
Released yet, you haven't
Hasn't
finished
been
the
released
vote.
yet. You can't talk about it in open session, sir.
we're in open session?
Yes.
We are in open session, but the motion hasn't been approved yet to release it. So right now, it is still divulged, and you just asked for discussion in the middle of a vote.
Only approving the non-public minutes.
Okay.
Do you have anything else you want to add, or no? Go back and poll the board again. Mr. McDonald?
Staying.
Mr. Whitman?
yes.
Mr. Rochelle?
Yes.
Mr. Holt?
Yeah.
Wentworth, yes, votes in affirmative. Gentlemen, moving on to the consent agenda. As you noticed last week, we asked that item 2 from last week postponed until this week after the town vote. The town vote was approved, that this operating budget was fully approved. So I'm asking tonight to approve the consent agenda as presented March 15, 2021, number 1 and number 2.
So moved.
And number 3?
And number 3. I was trying to get there, take the papers part. And you told me I can't lick my fingers in.
So moved.
Rochelle made a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented March 15, 2021, number 1, number 2, and number 3. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Bill Whitman. Any discussion? Hold the board. Mr. Holt?
Yep.
Mr. Rochelle?
Yes.
Mr. Whitman?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Wentworth? Yes. Both in the affirmative. Discretionary action on requests for appointments, being none. At this time, gentlemen, I'd entertain a motion to go into non-public session underneath RSA 91-A:3, paragraph 2, A and B.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Wentworth to go in non-public session, RSA 91-A:3, paragraph 2, at 7:51 PM, underneath A and B, second by Mr. McDonald. Discussion. Being none, I'll poll the board. Mr. Holt? Mr. Rochelle?
Yes.
Mr. Whitman?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Yes, votes affirmative, folks. We are now in non-public session at 7:51. We will come back in non-public and let you know. In public session, we'll let you know. Ready? Ready. Evening, folks, we're back in non-public session 8:34. Gentlemen, can I have a motion not to divulge item 1 and to divulge item 2?
Second.
Motion made by Reuben Wentworth to not to divulge item 1, but to divulge item 2. And then, on item 1 would be under B, proposed action and effective act. Second by Mr. McDonald. Any discussion? I'll poll the board. Mr. Holt? Yes.
We have to read through now.
We do not have to read until next week when we approve the amendments. Mr. Holt?
Yes.
Mr. Rochelle?
Yes.
Mr. Whitman?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. McDonald? Mr. Wentworth? Vote is in the affirmative. So next week, folks, at our public meeting, we will be honoring a man that has served the town for roughly 23, 24 years. Mr. Roberts, the highway manager. Most of you folks might remember him when he first came to Alton. He was hired as one of the first foremen for the town of Alton. Served on, and when Mr. Drew retired 2 years later, Mr. Roberts took over as, voted in as the highway agent. Later on down the road, the selectmen did not want to elect a position anymore, and they went to an appointed highway agent. Mr. Roberts has served this town diligently for the years he has been here. So I'd ask if any of you out there listening tonight, that you tell your friends and neighbors, and please join us in the Zoom session next week in honoring Mr. Roberts. That's all I have, folks. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Adjourn at 8:36.
Second.
Motion made to adjourn at 8:36, second by Mr. Holt. Motion was made by Mr. McDonald. Any discussion?
Seconded by Phil.
Bill made it, second, sorry. Poll the board. Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Whitman?
Yes.
Mr. Rochelle?
Yes.
Mr. Wentworth? Yes. Mr. Holt?
Yep.
Votes in affirmative. Thank you, folks. Have a great week, and warmer weather is coming.